It's always a beautiful day for baseball, and we've got a nice 6-game slate tonight for Monday, April 19th. I'm going to use DraftKings pricing and bring you JT's Bang Bang plays. Let's start with the pitching. Up top, you've got a couple of decisions to make. Joe Musgrove has been nothing short of phenomenal. Threw a no-hitter in his start before last. Came back down to earth just a little bit. Has a fantastic matchup at home against the Milwaukee Brewers. But there's another guy that I like in the top range, and that's Dustin May. He's 9.7K on DraftKings. Dustin May has electric stuff. He's got a 32% strikeout rate and a 14% swinging strike rate. A little bit unlucky to start the year. A 500 batted balls in play against in his last start. You may have noticed the Dodgers played an intense series against division rival San Diego this weekend in an extra innings game on Friday, and the games on Saturday and Sunday. Dave Roberts had to go to his bullpen quite frequently, and those arms are a little bit depleted. So I expect them to need a little bit of length with Dustin May tonight in Seattle. Seattle, 26% strikeout rate, and I expect Dustin May at very low ownership on these sites tonight to get back on track and get the Dodgers in the win column once again. For a value pitcher, I'm going to stay in the Los Angeles market and go back down south to Southern California. The Los Angeles Angels take on the Texas Rangers. Dylan Bundy is just 7.7K on DraftKings tonight. He has a 29% strikeout rate and a 13% swinging strike rate. The Texas Rangers come into town. It is a park upgrade for the Rangers. They do have some lefties with a little bit of power, but they also strike out 30% of the time. And Dylan Bundy is just too cheap at that price for his talent and for this matchup. Moving on to the bats. My favorite stacks of the night in Philadelphia. The San Francisco Giants are going up against Chase Anderson and a Philly bullpen that looked like it might be better the first week of the season, but they have certainly regressed, as we saw in their game against the Cardinals on Saturday. Chase Anderson takes the mound for Philadelphia. He's been very lucky to start the season, and he's been giving up 2 home runs per 9 innings and a 39% fly ball rate. My favorite plays here tonight: Brandon Belt, 3.4K on DraftKings, a 56% fly ball rate over his last 5 games. And you can never make a Giants stack without Mike Yastrzemski. What an awesome baseball player he is. I expect them to take advantage of a friendly Citizens Bank ballpark and Chase Anderson this evening. My other stack, I'm going to go right back to the Los Angeles Angels against Kohei Arihara, who had maybe the best start of his young career. His last time out against the Tampa Bay Rays in Tampa, 5 2/3 innings and 5 strikeouts and the win. I love to attack pitchers coming off of those types of performances. It's going to be warm in Southern California tonight. The wind is going to be blowing out, and I expect that Shohei Ohtani and Jared Walsh are going to take advantage of young Kohei Arihara and this Texas Rangers bullpen. You obviously are going to include Mike Trout in that stack, but I think that gives you a good base for your pitchers, for your hitters tonight. And I've got one more, a little bit sneaky, that I don't think anybody is going to play. In fact, I think the opposing pitcher is going to be extremely popular. It's going to be cold in Kansas City tonight. The wind is going to be blowing in, but guess what? Danny Duffy has been perhaps the luckiest pitcher in Major League Baseball to start the year. A .72 ERA. His expected ERA is 4.72. He's stranded 100% of base runners that have gotten on. In his last start, he gave up 8 hits. Got lucky to get out of that without any major damage. But everybody talks about the Tampa Bay Rays strikeout rate against left-handed pitchers. Yes, 29%. They also have a 126 weighted runs creation plus rating, and tonight I think Danny Duffy's luck is going to run out. The weather is not going to matter here. My favorite is to do a little mini stack here. Manuel Margot is my number one guy. 2.9K on DraftKings. He should be hitting in the 5-hole. Yandy Diaz, 3.5K leading off. and round that out with Mike Brousseau at 3.6K. A stack that nobody's going to have because it looks like 40% of people are going to actually roster Danny Duffy tonight. That's it for Monday, April 19th, JT's Bang Bang Plays. Get over to runpuresports.com and be like Blind Bandit 24. Took down the 100K top prize for the MLB Gyro Ball last night. He was in Discord. We were rooting him on, and he said, hey guys, I got to get out of here because I got to call my mom. If that isn't special, I don't know what is. He's on his way to Disney World, where true champions go to celebrate their takedowns. Let's get it tonight. Go ahead. Good luck and run pure.
We are live. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the RPS MLB Swing for the Fences show. I'm your host today, JSU. And before we get into the crew, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're not. But first off, huge day for RPS yesterday. A lot of big winners. We're going to put a light on some of those big winners in a sec. But before we do that, we're going to get to some of the crew that helped those winners along the way. Starting off, obviously, we got our man Draft Cheat, who had a monster day himself, but better than that, his core was on point. He had the best, I'm pretty sure the best pitching combo you could have, and then his hitters were insane as well. Pretty sure every single one of them, or close to it, hit a home run. At Draft Cheat, how you feeling today, buddy?
I'm good, man. Yeah, coming off a big day. Nice to see so many members win, and not to my own horn, but I feel like the core plays have been good. I haven't quite gotten there myself. There's like people are like, oh, the members never win. It's been like a little bit of the opposite through like the first couple of weeks of baseball, where I've had good days, but nothing quite that good. So was happy to kind of put it all together. As you know, in GPPs, kind of got to be perfect to get all the way to the top. It wasn't obviously quite perfect, but had a great day, and was a fun day on Twitter as well. We'll say that.
Yes, it was fun just kind of sitting back, watching you on Twitter. Always fun to do that for sure. And I know what you're saying. I, like you, I had a really good team. I used your pitching combo, which was the best pitching combo, I'm pretty sure, with Gibson and Nola. And it was only because I didn't even see your core on the site, DC. But in the Discord at like 8:30 in the morning, you were in there talking about those pitchers. So that's when it first got me on those pitchers, and then I started kind of looking into it. I obviously knew you were going to be on Gibson, but the Nola, for sure, I was not going to be on Nola unless I saw you in the Discord talking him up. So that's another big thing with RPS. The Discord is just straight fire. If you remember and you were in there talking baseball winners with DC in the morning, he was in there bright and early. Titletown was still sleeping in his mom's basement, but DC was up bright and early, picking winners, and a lot of people have big days because of it. So congrats to you. Another guy, D-Rock. What's up, D-Rock? Good to do a show with you. This is the first time I think we've gotten on a show together.
Yeah, this is the first time. I'm excited for it. Congrats, DC. Congrats to all the subs last night. That was just an awesome day, seeing all those green screens light up. I think it was almost $200,000. I was trying to add it all up between just the subscribers' total winnings yesterday. Absolutely amazing. My core didn't really get there. I went the Bieber Cole route, and unfortunately it just didn't work out. But it was so awesome to see all the subs win that much money.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So D-Rock, one request from me to you is going to be today we're going to try and keep our shirts on for this show. All right. The nips and tats or whatever it is, that can be saved for like Holden or the next time Holden's on. But like we're going to keep our shirts on today. That's going to be my request to you. But other than that, good to be on a show with my man. And guys, we got a nice little 6-game slate here. Pretty cool slate. Some good pitching options, I would say. Before we get into it, though, I think we're going to shine a light on some of those members. I don't know, Simon, are we going to roll that real quick because we got a few guys. Blind Bandit 24 took down first place, 100K. Obviously, he had the winning combo pitcher-wise with Nola and Gibson, but shout out to him. Put up 217 on DraftKings. I'm pretty sure it was the big contest, whatever that was, $15, $18 contest on DraftKings, I think. So huge shout out to him. Then we had another guy take down 6.5K. He only entered $132. Really nice out of him. And then we had our boy Draft Cheat, who, like he said, didn't fully get there, but took down a nice, 45, almost 45K, 44K. Came in first or second, a bunch of nice contests. That mainly had one or two lineups. Is that right, Draft Cheat?
Yeah, just 2 lineups. They were pretty similar too. Yep.
Yep. So, I mean, shout out to all those guys who won. And I saw like a GPP where literally like first, 2 people tied for second, and 5th place was all RPS.
I think I think that was the big one, right? Where someone won the 100K, and then I think we got like 2 tied for seconds and a 5th, and I guess that'll kind of be the case when everyone in the core hits a home run.
Yeah, so it was the contest that Blind Bandit won the 100K, which was I think the big contest on DraftKings, like the 15 or whatever dollar one that was. We had like 4 or 5 subs in the top 5 or 6. Like you said, 2 guys tied for second, which were both RPS guys. So congrats to all the members. The screenshots just kept rolling in, I felt like, throughout the day. So that's just awesome to see. MLB's been starting off really hot for a lot of us. Content's been fire, and we're going to keep it rolling, right, DC? We don't want to stop. We're going to keep it rolling for the people.
Yeah, we're not resting on our laurels over here. Back to work today. And, yesterday's contests are over. We'll try to get to the top again tonight.
Yeah, DC shipped 45K. Could have took the day off. He could have said, I'm not feeling well, cough, cough. I can't do it. No, the man's here for the people.
I'm a guy that needs the accolades. Of course, I'm showing up to the show today. I love your background too, by the way. That's
thank you. I gotta remember to sit like this just so people can get the full effect of Big. So to be honest with the people too, Big T was supposed to be here, but he got stuck driving through the mountains. Didn't realize how long it was actually going to take him. He tried to be here for this show, but he is still driving through the mountains right now. So he's going to join me for the Up to Lock premium show for NBA. And he's going to also talk a little MLB. So we're going to have a little combo show with me, Big T, and Holden. So if you are an RPS subscriber, then make sure you tune in for that show. It's not just going to be me and Holden. Big T is going to be on that show with us. And you guys know we love Big T. He's always an upgrade to the show. If you aren't a member, use the code RPS Heater 25. That's the new promo code we got going. And that's only if you sign up for a monthly subscription. You'll get 25% off your first payment. All right. So make sure you sign up. Use the code RPS Heater 25. Sign up for a monthly package and you'll get 25% off your first payment. All right. With that, let's get into this slate, guys. Let's dive right in. We'll start with the pitchers and then do what we normally do, go through each hitter by position. DC, I'll start with you on pitcher, and let's just kind of start at the top. We got your boy, Joe Musgrove, Dustin May, Brandon Woodruff, Flaherty. Let's start with those guys. What are we thinking here at the top?
Yeah, pretty good options if you want to spend at starting pitcher today. Obviously, on a 6-game slate with good pitchers, sometimes the slate strategy can dictate, at least in my opinion, going away from the top guys, because there's just not that many good hitters to choose from when there's only 6 games and there's quite a few good pitchers on the slate. I think all 4 of these guys at the top qualify as legitimately very good starting pitchers. We saw the no-hitter at the top, Joe Musgrove, the most expensive guy on both sides, both FanDuel and DraftKings, up over 10K. No-hitter 2 starts ago. And then in his last start, they kind of, scaled it back a little bit through, I think, 112 pitches in that no-hitter. I don't think that is a normal plan for Musgrove, right? I think they're going to be careful with him. Obviously, the Padres are a team with World Series aspirations. And so you saw him down at 81 pitches. Everything was fine. He didn't appear to be tired. His velocity was good. He pitched well. But it's just unclear how how deep they're going to let him go in games where he doesn't have a no-hitter going, because he's pitched 3 games now. One, of course, was a no-hitter. The other 2 games, he threw 78 and 81 pitches. Obviously, some mitigating circumstances, right, in the game coming back from the no-hitter. But that's my worry with him. I do expect him to pitch well. Milwaukee has not been good against right-handed pitching. I'm a believer in Musgrove. I always have been. He's obviously taken a big step forward this season on a new team. I just don't know if I can pay $10K plus for him, given that I think there's a chance he'll throw 80 to 85 pitches, which just probably won't be enough to get there at that price point in terms of point per dollar, unless every pitcher blows up besides him or something like that. So I think he's fine. I don't see myself going there. Actually, I probably won't play any of these 4 guys on my main lineups. I think they're all certainly in play, but tough matchup, obviously, for Woodruff against a very, very strong San Diego offense. Dustin May, I think, is my favorite of these 4. He also has workload concerns. We've seen 71 and 85 pitches from him in his first 2 games. I'm a fan of May, but again, kind of the same concerns there as Musgrove. And then Flaherty, I think is fine, but I just I'm not the hugest Jack Flaherty believer, but certainly a fine play today. So good options here, but I don't think it's a slate where you necessarily need to spend up at starting pitching.
All right, DC, I'm going to put you on the spot just for the people here. I know you said you're probably not going to get on any of these 4 pitchers, but if you had to pick one out of these 4 to be on, which one would it be?
I would be Dustin May, I think.
Okay.
If you look at his career stats, the strikeouts haven't been there. I think they're going to come. His stuff is just so good. One of the hardest throwers in baseball. And he kind of fell apart a little bit in the 5th inning of his last start, but I'm a really big believer in him. I know Seattle's numbers against righties look okay so far in the year, but I don't really believe in that offense totally. Great pitcher's park. So May would be the guy that I would go to. Playing 3 lineups on DraftKings tonight. I don't anticipate any of these 4 guys making any of those lineups, but May would be the guy that I could potentially land on.
Yeah, for sure. And D-Rock, I'm going to bring it to you now. And DC's kind of talked about some of the risks with some of these really good pitchers, right? But for these matchups in these games, Joe Musgrove, Dustin May, he's talked about maybe them being on some type of pitch count, seeing what they've done recently in games and where they've gone. Do you have the same concerns about them? And then what do you think of Flaherty and Woodruff after that?
I do agree there. Just Musgrove, I agree with the 90 pitches. I don't think he's going to go very deep. And with the 10-2, I've seen a lot of ownership going his way as well. So for me, that makes it even easier to come off of them, especially with the options that we'll get to a little bit later in the show. Dustin May, I'm not on him at all tonight at 9K or 9.7. I was on him last week, and it just seemed, I don't know if he got hurt in a way or what happened, but he was cruising through that game. And then just out of nowhere, he lost it. And I mean, completely lost it. Couldn't hit the strike zone. When he did, he was up high and they were just crushing him. So I'm a little worried about that. And Roberts was really quick to pull the hook on him. So I could see that happening again. And then with Woodruff, I really like Woodruff, but San Diego just does not strike out. So he'll be passed for me as well. And Flaherty, I'm not going to attack this Washington lineup at all.
All right, D-Rock. So you're off pretty much all those guys.
Yeah, I will not.
So I got to put you back on the spot like I did DC. If you had to pick one, you have to pick one. Who would be the guy if you had to pick one?
I'd probably go with Woodruff. And this is coming from a Cubs fan, that I believe in a Brewer pitcher. But to me, I see a lot of upside in him. Like I was saying, though, San Diego does not strike out a ton, so that's the only worry for me. But at times, sometimes the talent of the pitcher can overcome that.
I feel reasonably confident that of these 4, Woodruff is the best pitcher right now. Everything's changed. Players, especially pitchers, they kind of ebb and flow a little bit, and they'll lose their velocity for a couple starts. It'll come back. Right at this very moment, in a completely context neutral situation, Woodruff would be the guy that I would go with. But just the matchup is just so tough against San Diego. Just a really, really strong lineup. I think you could. I think Woodruff will probably have the lowest ownership of these four is my guess. It is just a guess. Of course, we don't know with ownership for sure, but I do think you can get Woodruff at lower ownership. And like D-Rock mentioned, he's good enough. His stuff is good enough where sometimes the matchup won't matter quite as much, right? He can mow down any lineup. Like we've seen some pitchers do it, in the All-Star game, and their just stuff is just so good that nobody can touch him anyway. Woodruff does have that kind of velocity and talent that there's no question he could strike out 10 Padres. You can't project it because of what the numbers say, but the talent's there. So I wouldn't hate a Woodruff play if you wanted to go a little bit off the board.
All right, DC's coming down to a little Woodruff, but I think it's more. I think on this slate though, as we get down to these cheaper options, it's going to be more about what we can get with the hitting. That's going to really make this slate, drive this slate to where I think I see you going if you're fading these four pitchers. So, I mean, let's get into it. We've got, under 8K options, Joe Ross, Dylan Bundy, Fleming, Duffy, Anderson, Gaussman, Sheffield, and Arihara, I think his name is. DC, I mean, let's start with Dylan Bundy and Gaussman, who I think are two of the maybe better options in this range. And then, maybe elaborate on anyone else I'm missing.
Yeah, we saw Dylan Bundy take a pretty big step forward last year, his first year out of Baltimore with the Angels. Changed the pitch mix a little bit. The strikeouts have always been there for him, but kind of reduced the home run rate a bunch. The big thing here is just the matchup. Texas, just an enormous strikeout rate against right-handed pitching. Bundy, the strikeouts are there for him, like almost every start. I think you can rely on that for sure in this matchup. And so it's like even he could get tagged for a home run or two. Joey Gallo, David Dahl in there. Some lefties are a little bit dangerous, but I do think he's going to get those strikeouts. So he should be fine. And I do think he's got upside as well, just given how often Texas does swing and miss. We also know he's going to get the full workload. 94, 102, and 88 pitches, has made it at least 6 innings in each of his 3 starts so far. He just seems like a really, really strong option. 7,700. I mean, I would take him for sure, like straight up over Flaherty, who's $800 more. So yeah, I'm certainly in on Dylan Bundy. You mentioned Gaussman. I think Gaussman could potentially be the most popular pitcher on this slate. I kind of think he should be at 6,600. A somewhat dangerous matchup for him against Philly, who does have power, and Gaussman, obviously pitches. He took that big step forward last year, but he got to pitch in San Francisco for half of his starts. In Philly, pretty good hitting weather. There's some risk here. He could give up home runs, but like Bundy, I do think the strikeouts will be there for him. He started using a splitter a lot more last year. It's made a big difference. He's always been a guy that I've loved, but he just refused to throw that pitch as much as he should, and that's finally changed, and that's why you saw the big jump in the strikeouts last year. I think that's going to hold true this year. So I think Gaussman's got a good shot at 8+ strikeouts maybe in this matchup, which, at 6,600, that's pretty tough upside to pass up. And with Gaussman, this isn't a situation where I think you're necessarily giving up that much. He could absolutely be the top scoring pitcher on the slate. Anytime you can say that about a guy that's, you're saving $3K from kind of the other top guys, that's hard for me to pass up. So he'll be popular, but in my opinion, rightfully so.
Yeah, I think when it comes to ownership, I think Bundy ends up edging out these other guys. I think he ends up being the highest owned, but I wouldn't be shocked if by the end of the night, Gaussman was the highest owned pitcher. Like, that wouldn't shock me. I think both those guys are going to be very popular, but I do think Bundy, from an ownership standpoint, is going to end up being the highest owned pitcher on DraftKings. That's just my guess. D-Rock, bringing it to you. Are you kind of in line step with DC that, clearly Bundy and Gaussman price per dollar are two of the better pitching options on this slate?
Yeah, I am. Bundy was who I rolled up this morning for my MLB Sluggers article. It's too good of a matchup. He's too cheap. Texas they're at a 30% strikeout rate right now against right-handed pitching, which I think is second in the league, only to the San Francisco Giants. And then for Gaussman, Philly has strikeout potential. They got a 27% strikeout season rate on the season against righties. So, I like that matchup as well. Then one more I'll throw out there is Danny Duffy, who's at 7K. I think he's going to get a lot of attention tonight. And there is strikeouts to be found in the Tampa Bay lineup. Duffy doesn't really have the strikeout upside himself, though, I don't think. But a lot of people like to go with weather narratives in MLB. And last I checked, it's like 15-mile-per-hour winds blowing straight in. It's going to be in the mid 40s for temperature there. So I could see Danny Duffy getting some more ownership and actually taking a little bit away from either Bundy or Gausman.
So that's what this is perfect because now I'm going to bring it back to DC. And DC, we know that Gausman's going to get ownership. We know Bundy's going to get ownership. Anyone else in this range that we can kind of sneak in as an SP2 that's going to be a little different? Are you online that Danny Duffy is a decent option, or do you like anyone else?
Yeah, Duffy is kind of my third guy too. I think I rank them point per dollar wise, Gausman, Bundy, then Duffy in third place for me on this slate. So I will have exposure to him. His big problem, his number one problem by far is his home run rate. He gives up a ton of fly balls. You look at his ground ball rate so far in the season, just 29.4%. That's about as low as you're going to see any pitcher. And so obviously, in smaller stadiums, if it's hot, if the wind's blowing out, that can be a huge problem. The home run issues. That shouldn't be a problem today. Kansas City, has one of the lower home run factors anyway, and that's including, obviously, that's kind of total across, the whole season of games, a lot of which are very hot and humid in Kansas City, right? You get to the summer. This is perfect pitching weather, 45 to 50 degrees. It's not so cold that sometimes you worry the pitcher won't be able to grip the ball, you know what I mean? And they'll just kind of lose it if they're just freezing their ass out on the mound, but he should be fine. It's warm enough where, I wouldn't expect that to affect him. And then, like D-Rock mentioned, 14, 15-mile-per-hour winds in from left field, which is especially good because you're worried about the right-handed power against Danny Duffy. So those fly balls are a good thing when it's this kind of weather, this kind of wind. They're just going to be hanging up and being easy outs, So, strikeout rate is decent for him. I'm not scared of this Rays lineup, really. I've been kind of picking on them with pitchers all year long. There's been a lot of good outings. I think Duffy has a really good chance to, pitch 6-7 innings here. Probably not going to get the strikeouts that Gausman or Bundy will get you, but 6-7 strikeouts wouldn't surprise me at all. I think he's got a good chance to have a pretty solid game.
All right, there you go. And guys, if you like this free content that we keep pumping out and you want more of it, hit that thumbs up button. All right, hit that like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you do that because it helps us out. It helps us pump it out. So we want to keep it going. We want to keep it free, but got to hit that like button. So hit that thumbs up. All right, boys, before we move on to the hitters, is there any other pitcher we didn't bring up that anyone wants to mention? D-Rock, any other pitcher that we missed on, or are we good?
No, I'm good. There's nothing else that I like down there.
DC?
Yeah, same. Joe Ross pitched well against the Cardinals last time, but I really don't think he's the same caliber of pitcher of Bundy, Gausman, I just think is clearly a better pitcher and a better, maybe arguably the same matchup, but he's just much cheaper. So I couldn't go there. So yeah, my three guys in order, Gausman, Bundy, and Danny Duffy.
There you go. D-Rock, you got three in what order? Top three pitchers.
I'll move Bundy to the top for me, then Gausman, and then Duffy.
All right.
All right, so you guys are both going cheap for your top three, but I like it, and I think it's a lot to do as well with what we're going to go to, which is the hitters, and we'll start at catcher. DC top catchers. I'm looking at Will Smith at the top. I know you're a big fan of him. Sal Perez has had a couple decent games in a row. He's homered, I think, 2 straight. One on Saturday, I'm pretty sure was a doubleheader, but he's homered twice. Look pretty good. What are we thinking at the top?
Yeah, pretty clearly Will Smith for me, assuming he's in the lineup. He pretty much plays just half the game, so we'll see if he's in there. I hope so, because I do really like him. I just think he's just a genuinely fantastic hitter. I've mentioned that a lot. Not off to the best start in the world, but obviously the OPS 913 still good. And I think he's like, a legit almost 300 plus hitter with power in the middle of the best lineup, in my opinion, in baseball. There's just nothing not to like about Will Smith. I really feel he's not fantastic, not just for a catcher. Matchup with Sheffield, Sheffield's not horrible, does get a decent amount of ground balls, but I think he could find trouble, of course, with this Dodgers offense. Seems like most pitchers do. Real Muto, I think if you're not on Gausman, I'll probably play Gausman on 2 of my 3 lineups. Good chance I'll have Real Muto on the third one that obviously isn't against Gausman. So Gausman does give up home runs. I mentioned that. And Real Muto doesn't really have splits himself. It's righty. Obviously, you maybe prefer a lefty, but it's not a big deal there. Gausman's best pitch, like I mentioned, is that splitter, which doesn't typically have splits, right? Righties can hit it just as well as lefties can because it doesn't break horizontally. It breaks vertically down. So it won't be quite as effective against a right-handed hitter in general. So, yeah, Real Muto, if you want to spend up, I think you'll get really good leverage against him because I do anticipate a lot of ownership on Gausman. And obviously, probably only 1 or 2 catchers will really have good games on a 6-game slate. If it's Real Muto that has it and you're kind of taking down, obviously, some Gausman lineups, 5,100, it's a lot to pay, but kind of a clear route to the top of a tournament there, right? If he goes off, nobody has him. Gausman struggles. You could be kind of off to the races in terms of your tournament teams with the leverage on Real Muto.
All right, I like it. And guys, looking for a recap on pitcher, just real quick. DC had his top 3 pitchers point per dollar as Gausman, Bundy, and Duffy. Yep. And D-Rock was very similar, but he had Bundy 1, Gausman 2, and Duffy as his third. So both of them like going the cheaper route today for their pitching options. All right, and we got Michael Malarick in chat saying, Draft Cheat, my man, he got me in the top 10 yesterday. Pretty sure he's thanking you, Draft Cheat, as a lot of people. And then we got our boy Joey Work. He says, no love for Joe Ross. Joey Work didn't like the just one word mention on Joe Ross. He didn't appreciate he pitched good last game. He didn't like that, Draft Cheat. What's up with that?
I guess I needed to do the deep dive on Joe Ross. Maybe next time he's on it. If he does it again today, I'll be interested. I do like targeting the Cardinals lineup. I'm not super impressed with them in general, but yeah, I'm just not a huge believer in Joe Ross. Sorry, Joey Work.
Two decent games in a row. Draft Cheat's still not a believer. So maybe if he pitches good here, Draft Cheat will be talking about him next time he pitches, right? D-Rock, catcher. What are we looking at here, buddy?
Up top, 4.7K. Will Smith is just too cheap to me. I don't think he should be priced below Sal Perez and JT Realmuto on this slate. And then I really only have one other one today, and that's if you're fading, because I think Musgrove's going to end up being pretty chalky. And if you're fading Musgrove, I don't mind the Omar Narvaez play at 3.9K from Milwaukee. He's got the power to take Musgrove deep, and that could get you some good leverage there by fading Musgrove with him. But other than that, I really don't see nothing else too much that I like a catcher today other than those two. But actually, I will add one more, Buster Posey. I don't mind Posey today either against Chase Anderson. Anderson has allowed a lot of power to right-handed hitters.
All right, quick on catcher. So we'll start with you at first base. Who are we looking at here? We got a few solid options. I always like Max Muncy's a guy. I know the Dodgers are going to get ownership, but because it's lefty, I feel like on these type of slates, a lot of people just target the righties, and Max Muncy to me is one of those guys that if you're stacking the Dodgers, we can sometimes get at lower ownership because his price tag's high enough where a lot of times people will just say lefty-lefty matchup, his price tag's high. Okay, I'll leave him out of the stack and go somewhere else. And there's, in my opinion, some other decent options at first base. So I could see that happening in Dodger stacks where maybe using Muncy might make you a little more unique. Not to say he's going to be like 2% owned, but he's going to be lower than a lot of these other Dodgers. So he's someone I'd look at. D-Rock, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely like that call. And like you said, the lefty's going to scare everyone away. The three I really got, they're not really just, two of them aren't just first base, but I wrote them up today in the article, and that's Ohtani and Jared Walsh. Yeah. I really like the Angels tonight. I'm going to be very heavy on them. And I just like the fact that, you can play both of them. You can get Trout. And if you want to put one of them at first base, it helps you build around that also. And then my value play that I really like today, that was also in my article, if you haven't read that yet, is Brandon Belt for the San Francisco Giants. Absolutely love him today. He's too cheap at 3.4K, and you can still play him with either Ohtani or Walsh because of him being outfield, have the ability to play out there on DraftKings.
All right, I like it. Brandon Belt, big fan of him. He's won me some money in the past, so I don't mind looking at him for cheap. DC, what are we thinking here? Any Brandon Belt love?
Yeah, absolutely. I have pretty similar thoughts, honestly, to D-Rock at the position. I think Belt, if you're spending down, and I think that's certainly a viable way to go at 3,400. Anderson gives up a lot of home runs, kind of always have, but those even spiked even more last year. I think he was nearly at like 2.5 to 3 home runs per 9 innings against both righties and lefties, just getting tattooed, good hitting weather. In Philly, if you look at Brandon Belt's splits, hits right-handed pitching very well, and it also just hits a ton of fly balls. That doesn't work so well in San Francisco. You get him into Philly, which is a good home run park. I think Brandon Belt's got a very good chance to take Anderson deep. Philly bullpen, not super great either. So, yeah, I think the Giants in general are, I don't know if sneaky. I think there'll be some ownership there, but I do think they're a good team tonight. Ohtani, I mean, this dude is just crushing right now. He just kills right-handed pitching as well. I don't think Arihara is any good. It's kind of unclear for me on Arihara what his true talent level is, just because we haven't seen much of him yet. We just don't have that much data coming over from Japan. He's got, looks like a decent arsenal. So anyway, I do think Ohtani, and then Jared Walsh kind of came out of nowhere last year, had a pretty good rookie season. I think he's legit. I really do think he's a very good hitter. 5,100 feels like a little bit of sticker shock, right? To see him as the highest priced first baseman, a guy that just not a big name yet, but I think he can really hit. So I do like Walsh a lot. I like the Muncy call, JSU, 5K. Like you said, people will be scared off, I think, a little bit of that lefty-lefty matchup. But Muncy, is about as good as they get in terms of kind of hitting same-handed pitchers from the left side. So, yeah, I love Max Muncy. And then the last guy that I kind of like, if you're trying to get a little leverage against a popular pitcher, should be low-owned, Josh Bell at 4,200. Hasn't been great so far, but I do think the power is obviously legit with him. And again, I'm not the hugest believer in Flaherty in the world. So Bell, if you want to go a little bit off the board, I think you'll get very low ownership on him.
Yeah, one thing, I mean, you're targeting upside with those guys, right? Yeah, he hasn't looked that good at the plate, but the dude definitely has power, Bell, for sure. And that's obviously the key point. Hopefully his ownership stays down and, get him at lower ownership. So I like that call. So let's move over. Before we move over to second base, I want to just say real quick, I know Posey was mentioned on the show. He's not in the lineup today, so he won't be in play. Casali is going to be at catcher for the Giants. So Posey is not in the lineup. We are getting a few more lineups. The Phillies lineup just came out a little bit ago. Real Muto is in the lineup. A few other guys, Hoskins, Harper, Bohm, Segura. But yeah, I mean, no Posey. So Posey is out for today. Boys, let's move over to second base. DC, I'm going to start here with you. What are you thinking?
Yeah, a few options. Not my favorite position tonight, to be honest. Chris Taylor leads the way for me. If you're looking to spend up here, Dodgers are my top stack today, as they often seem to be. But yeah, Taylor's, another guy that I think goes a little bit under the radar, but he's looked really good this year. I don't mind the matchup with Sheffield. So if you're spending or you're stacking the Dodgers, I think he is a good way to go. Could have mentioned him at first base as well, but Tommy La Stella leading off for San Francisco. Again, I do like the Giants quite a bit. He's another guy that's a really good hitter, but doesn't have a ton of raw power. So it's good to get him in a good hitter's park where he's more likely to do some damage there. Beyond that, I don't see a ton here that I love. I'll mention one more guy. It's almost painful to say his name, but Matt Carpenter has just been dreadful to start this year. But if you look at the underlying metrics, he's got like 5 or 6 barrels already. Barrels, obviously, just a combination of launch angle and exit velocity. Just hasn't worked out for him so far. I still think his power is there, so I don't feel great about him. But 3,100, if you need savings at second base, I think Carpenter does have a decent chance of hitting a home run in this game.
Yeah, for sure. One other guy I just wanted to bring up to you real quick. Josh Harrison just quietly hitting like 450 or whatever. He's looked really good to me at the plate. I know he didn't get it done yesterday, but just in general, the past like week or so watching him play, because I've watched a lot of his games, man, he's looked locked in, really good at the plate. Is he someone like as a contrarian option who's been hitting well? I know Flaherty, it's not an easy matchup, but they have seen Flaherty already once this year. What do you think about that?
I think it's okay. I don't see myself going there. 4,100, kind of a lot. He's a guy that does he have? Yeah, he's got a home run already. Yeah, I mean he's been fantastic. There's no doubt about it. So I could see it, but yeah, don't love the matchup obviously against Flaherty, and I guess I need to see a little bit more from Josh Harrison before I'm buying in. So I don't see myself playing him, but I can get why you'd want to go there.
Yeah, it's fair. It's just like kind of riding the hot streak, right? The hot hitter, you see him at the plate and you see him kind of locked in and playing pretty well. And you're like, second base kind of is not the best position. I don't know. I think he's an interesting tournament option, but I understand it's not the best matchup, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll be for sure under 5% ownership. So if you wanted to, play that angle, I think that's to me kind of like the strongest argument for him. But yeah, I get it.
For sure. Yeah, no doubt. D-Rock, what do you think of second base? Are you agreeing with DC that it's not the best position? Do you like Chris Taylor? Who's your top guy?
Yeah, I agree. Second base sucks. I like the contrarian play a little bit here and going all the way up top to Whit Merrifield, actually. He's 5.4K. I don't see a lot of people paying that. And you don't need a home run from Whit to pay that tag off. So the weather doesn't even affect him. He gets on base. He's going to steal some swipes. So I like that play. And then I'll go all the way down to David Fletcher leading off for the Angels tonight. I don't mind that if you're stacking the Angels.
All right. There we go. Third base, DC, D-Rock. Sorry, we're going to stay right here with you. Justin Turner, to me, I just don't see how, if I'm paying up at third base, I don't click his name, even at 5,500. Like, I know he's going to have ownership. Like, people are going to see it. But again, just another guy where he's just locked in right now. He's getting the lefty matchup. Who is the guy, if I'm not playing Justin Turner, I can look at the top? Because I want to be a little different, but it's tough to get away from just playing him.
Yeah, honestly, for me, I'm going to be locking in Turner tonight. But I mean, if you really want to go outside of Turner, I really don't think you'd pay up to go there. I'd probably end up going down in salary and maybe going with somebody like Brossoit if he's going to be in the lineup. I haven't seen Tampa Bay's lineup yet.
He's in there, yep.
Okay. And then the other one I also don't mind that's actually not too much. I think it's 1,000 cheaper or so than Turner is Kyle Seager tonight for Seattle out in LA. But for me personally, I'm not even going to be having those guys in my lineups. I have Turner locked in tonight.
All right. So this isn't like a spend down spot for you. You're spending up. It's Justin Turner. He's going to be in your lineups.
Yeah. He's had like 3 games all year, I think, where he hasn't had double-digit fantasy points or something. It's just insane what he's doing right now.
Yeah. D-Rock, how many lineups do you play? Are you like a 3 lineup guy, a 20 lineup? What do you?
Normally 20, but these past couple of days I've been doing 3 mats.
So if you play 3 mats tonight, you're locking them in. You're just
I'm locking
Justin
them in.
Turner. Yeah.
Yeah. If I was 20 mats, I probably wouldn't lock them in, but I'd have a good amount.
That's what I was going to ask. Okay, if you were 20 max, and how many would you have? Just for people.
I probably have three guys. I have a lot of Turner. I'd have some of Kyle Seager and maybe even a little bit of Brossoit.
There you go. All right, DC. What do you think? Is it just a lock in Justin Turner and move on slate, or are we? What are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, when we talked about pitching, obviously the highest price pitcher that I think I'm going to play is 7,700, and one of the reasons for that is because I want to play Justin Turner. I mean, the dude, I've been talking about him all season. I think I've probably played him more than any other single player, which obviously has been good. He's just been incredible so far. I mentioned a couple days ago, I think he got a new contract this year, and he looks like in way better shape than he's ever been in before. I don't know for sure if that's a factor for this start he's on, but man, when you watch this guy's at bats, you're happy you have him, in your lineup because he's just awesome right now. So I don't really want to move away from Turner. He'll be in most of my lineups, probably all three of my lineups, to be honest. Seager, I think, is fine if you're not on Dustin May. D-Rock mentioned Brosseau. I just don't want hitters in that Tampa Bay Kansas City game. I think it's going to be brutal for hitting. I think it's going to be really, really hard to hit a home run in that game. Brosseau obviously is mostly known for his power. I'm trying to have my guy barrel one up to left field, and the wind knocks it down and they catch it on the warning track. It doesn't sound like a lot of fun to me. So that would be my only problem with him. If it was good weather in KC, good hitting weather, I could certainly see the case. And then again, I do like Gaussman a lot, but Alec Boehm I think is fine at 3,500 if you're not on Gaussman or any lineups that you don't have Gaussman in them. Not the greatest start in the world, but I believe in his talent long term. He's cheap enough, and if you need some savings, I think Alec Boehm, you could go in that direction.
All right, there you go. Third base seems, I would say, pretty simple to these guys. It's just a payout spot, right? For the most part, we're liking Turner, and I think we're all agreeing there. So let's move on. We got shortstop position, and starting off, obviously we got Seager, Trey Turner, Tatis, DD at the top. What are we looking at shortstop, DC?
Yeah, so I think you could play Seager. I would probably leave him mostly for Dodgers stacks. I don't think I would play Seager as a one-off tonight, lefty. But again, if you're stacking up the Dodgers, if you got the salary to afford him, I think he's totally fine. Tatis, again, so he dislocated his shoulder, like 11, 12 days ago now. Did hit a home run against the Dodgers over the weekend, but struggled after that. I think one for 13. I'm worried about him basically right now coming off that injury. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I'm not going to play him against Woodruff when I'm just concerned. I don't think he's going to be stealing.
Wait, you're not a doctor, DC? You were in the Discord yesterday doctoring someone about him looking a little hurt before he ended on the IL. So I don't know what you're talking about. You might actually be a doctor. What do you mean you're not a doctor?
Only when it comes to predicting Steven Strasburg injuries. So,
there you go. All right. That's fair.
Other guys, actually, my favorite play here is Brandon Crawford, who I think has looked pretty good to start the year. The power's been there. He's got 3 home runs already. I think he's hitting 7th, which obviously isn't ideal, but I don't really like this position. I kind of want to save a little bit here. So I could see paying down to Crawford, who, again, not obviously the best hitter in the world, but I do think he's at least got upside, especially in Philly. So he's my favorite play, but it's a little bit of a tough position, at least in my eyes.
All right. I mean, Seager to me, like when I look at stacking the Dodgers, I honestly think just to be ultimately different, I kind of want both of the lefties because these are supremely good hitters that are both lefties. Yeah. So I hope that people take the approach of only playing one of them and I can get leverage if I play them both together and find, like you said, if I go the cheap pitching route, I should be able to have enough money to afford them technically. And I'm sure I can find another cheap hitter or two to make it all work in the end. So I think that's the way I'm kind of looking at my lineups, at least. Probably playing them both, but I like the Crawford call as well. I think that's interesting. D-Rock, what do you think at shortstop? Do you think it's a pay up position, or do you agree with DC? You might want to save some bucks.
I do like paying up here as well. I mean, I like the Crawford call, but I like going with Seager here. If you want to get contrarian, I think you're going to get Trey Turner around like maybe 5% ownership, if not less than that. So I don't mind that either. And then I'm staying away from Tatis. He came back, he hit the home run, and then he just hasn't looked right ever since. So that's going to be a hard pass for me. So it's basically going to be between Trey and Seager tonight in my lineups because I'm going to have the money to spend up at whatever I want, really, with my pitching.
Yeah, and if you had to pick, who would be your top guy, Trey or Seager, if you had to pick one?
Seager.
Yeah, Seager. Okay, cool. All right, let's move on to the outfield where we just have – there's always so many bats in the outfield, obviously. But D-Rock, why don't you start at the top and kind of give us some of your favorite bats at the top of the outfield?
Obviously, it's going to be Mike Trout, number one. I mean, it's kind of preaching to the choir when you're talking about Mike Trout, but at 6K, I think he might get a little bit ownership left on the table from people not wanting to pay that. But I'm in love with the Angels tonight, and I will get all kinds of Trout and Ohtani as I can. And then Walsh, he's up there also above 5K. I really like him tonight. Kyle Schwarber against Flaherty, if you want to go that route, I don't mind that at all. I think he can take him yard tonight. And then you want me to keep going to the middle range, or?
No, that's all right. We'll go to DC. Before we go to DC, though, guys, don't forget, hit that thumbs up, hit that like button. We got 600 people watching this show live. Only 205 on the likes.
Oh,
listen, I'm not trying to be it's hurtful, DC. I mean, I'm not trying to be a stickler like Hoop and like force the likes upon you guys, but this is free content, and it's really good free content. I mean, that's extreme. I come on here to host, and this is what we get, DC. People must not like JSU hosting.
I guess not. We need Holden back in here.
or they're not seeing tattoos.
Yeah, one or the other. It might be that they're not seeing tattoos. That's a good point, D-Rock. I did ask D-Rock to keep his shirt on. All right, if the chat wants him to take his shirt off, then I'll allow it. No, I'm kidding. We're sticking to it. Where our shirts are staying on.
It's kind of cold in my basement right now, so I'm probably poking a little bit.
There you go. All right. DC, they're calling you Dr. Cheat in the chat. I don't mind it. I like it.
That. Yeah, it's got a nice ring to it.
Yeah, I like it.
Dr. Cheat. Yeah. I like it. DC, what are you thinking at the top of outfield?
Yeah, like you mentioned, I mean, outfield's always loaded. It's super loaded, especially for just a 6-game slate. If you're just talking raw projection, I think it has to be Mike Trout number one tonight. It's relatively close between, in my opinion, Trout and Betts, just in terms of pure projection there. Obviously, I don't know who'd be more popular between the two. I guess maybe Trout. Juan Soto, I think, is a really interesting leverage play off of those two guys. He's just such a good hitter that I know Flaherty is a good pitcher, but this is still easily advantage Soto when it's Flaherty versus Soto. So I'm not really worried about the matchup at all. And I think with Betts and Trout, basically the same price, I think almost everybody's going to go to those two guys. I think Soto and, I think Flaherty will have some ownership too. So that makes sense from like a tournament perspective. Harper, I think, is fine. Again, I think he'll have very low ownership. I talked about the Angels guys, Walsh, Ohtani, Trout. I don't mind that full Angels outfield. I'm trying to get that on at least one of my lineups. I think that's a really good way to go. So yeah, I mean, just tons of good plays in the outfield, as always.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Angels. Justin Upton on, I think it was Friday. We were on the Up to Lock show, and
he got scratched. Right?
No, I think that was the day he hit the grand slam. That was the day he came back from his injury and hit the grand slam or whatever. But I was on the Up to Lock show with JT and K Fallick, and then Big T decided to join us towards the end of the show, and I'm telling Justin Upton's hitting cleanup. I'm telling Big T, you got to play him. You got to play. No, you can't play. Sorry, Justin Upton. Oh, what are you talking about? I said,
Big T impression. I like that.
Thank you. I said, Big T. On Monday, I want an apology. Justin Upton goes out. He doesn't just hit a home run, DC and D-Rock. He hits a grand slam. I better get an apology on this Up to Lock show that we're doing because he owes me one after crapping on Justin. You can't play Justin Upton, that dusty. He was hurting me. So, Big T, if you're watching, you better be ready for that apology because I'm going to be waiting. And if I don't get it, I'm going to be mad.
No wonder he didn't show up for this show, right? He didn't want to have to take his L on Justin Upton. And what is he talking about? Driving through the mountains like we're supposed to believe Big T like went hiking or something today?
So you want to know the best part is he was driving through the mountains. He said, I eventually get to a Starbucks. I could go into the Starbucks, get my laptop out. He was thinking about doing a live guest spot from the Starbucks with his poor wife, like still there, like either sitting in the Starbucks next to him or like sitting in the car. I'm like, Tony, you cannot leave your wife in the Starbucks, like drinking coffee next to you while you're on a free show, live show for the people. That's crazy.
Listen, when you're Big T, when you're the king, a newly minted millionaire, you do as you please. You do as you please.
Yeah.
You slip, the baristas at $20 each, so they don't give you a hard time for talking in the Starbucks. Hey, I respect it.
That's the dedication. Big T was trying. Big T really wanted to make it on this show, but that's all right. D-Rock stepped right back in for him. We appreciate it. So, but you're right, DC. He might have just been trying to get away from the Justin Upton, shame that he was going to get. Because man, he was killing me on Justin Upton, and all because you know what I said too. I said that Justin Upton's been looking, because I've watched a bunch of him at the plate, and I said he's looked really good. And in my opinion, he's gotten a little unlucky with some of his at bats, because I just thought some balls he hit really hard and they just didn't go his way. And I thought he was close, and Big T he killed me for it. So he started saying unlucky. So I felt really good when he hit that bomb, though. I can't wait. It's going to be good.
I've been out of the NBA streets, but I'm going to have to tune into the Up to Lock show to get to see Big T take his L. And I also want to find out what he's doing in the mountains. So I'll be tuning in for sure.
DC, you can always jump on real quick if you want a quick guest spot, and then you can leave whenever you want. We welcome everyone on the Up to Lock show. So if you're not a premium member, guys, me, Big T, Holden, maybe DC will jump in for a second. K Fallick jumps in all the time. JT Hayes has been through. I mean, it's a good show. I mean, we're going to be talking NBA, but Big T wants to talk some MLB too. So if you're an MLB fan, Big T and me will talk both sports. And if you're not a member, use the code RPS Heater 25 is the new code. That is for any monthly option. You'll get 25% off your first payment. So RPS Heater 25 is the code. Sign up. Any monthly option, 25% off your first payment. So let's move on, guys. Let's finish out the outfield. D-Rock, I'm going to go back to you. Let's kind of bring it down to some of the cheaper options.
One last guy, though, I forgot to name off that's in the 5K range. I think it'll be pretty low owned tonight. I'm going to butcher his last name, but Mike Yastrzemski. I always just call him Yaz. I think everybody calls him Yaz.
Yastrzemski. I got you.
Yastrzemski of the Giants. I like him as another low owned guy up top if you want to go up there with the Giants. But other than that, in the middle range, if you're not playing Bundy, then I don't mind the Rangers lefties and Dahl and Gallo. I mean, easily can take Bundy yard. He gives up home runs. I could see it happening, but obviously it's only if you're not going to play Bundy tonight. Then Alex Dickerson of the Giants is another one I like. You do got to worry about pinch hit risk with him. They kind of played a game of chess yesterday. He was actually in my core, and he was coming up against the righty. So, or a lefty, they put a lefty in, so they pulled him, and then they switched their pitcher right after, which sucked. And then Mitch Haniger, I like him at 4K today. I always think he's underpriced. I don't know, maybe DC, you think something different about that, but I always feel like Mitch Haniger is just always severely underpriced on DraftKings and just gets no respect.
Yeah, I don't love the matchup with May, but I can see that. Also throwing, Gallo, I think is a good play. Again, we do like Bundy, but if you're not, on any lineups where you don't have him, you mentioned, Bundy's one of his big issues, or at least it has been in the past, a lot of home runs. He kind of fixed that a little bit yesterday, but I don't know for sure if that's going to stick around. Bundy, it's also very easy to steal bases against him. People don't think of Joey Gallo as a stolen base threat. He's got a couple early on. Bundy has given up 38 steals in the last 3 years. I think that's fourth or fifth highest in baseball. So I could see Gallo, getting off to the races if he gets a chance. It obviously has a super high walk rate as well. So there's a decent chance you could get a little home run and a stolen base out of Joey Gallo tonight. So I think he's a very strong leverage play. Like Upton, yeah. I mean, all these Angels outfielders look really good. Again, not entirely sure what Arihara's true long-term skill level is, but I think it's fairly low. I think he's going to get hit hard a lot. And Upton, like me and Jess, you talked about on Friday, he's looked good and obviously hit that big grand slam. There are some cheap guys that I think are for sure in play. My favorite of the bunch is Dylan Carlson. I do like left-handed hitters against Joe Ross in general. He's very slider dependent, but it's just not as effective against lefties. Carlson's got real power from the left side. So I think he is a strong play. And then I guess that's mostly it. I'll mention if you really need the savings, Philly outfielder Mickey Moniak, former number 1 overall pick. He's 2,200. I think he's hitting 7th against Gaussman. If you really need the savings, I wouldn't mind going all the way down there.
There you go. We got Steve Anthony in chat. Steve, if you can't get in the Discord, you can hit up Run Pure Sports Twitter account, Mangone on Twitter, or you can hit up info@Run Pure Sports, and we should be able to help you out with whatever issue you're having. So just hit up one of those guys. If not, you can always hit me up on Twitter or something like that, and I'll figure it out, help you out for you. But yeah, D-Rock, anyone else you wanted to mention?
I had just one more. If you're absolutely looking for savings in the outfield, 2,600, Willie Calhoun to the Rangers, another lefty. He's shown power last year, so I think he's a decent punt if you're looking for some home run upside.
Absolutely.
All right. After that, guys, I mean, we hit the outfield pretty good, I think. Let's kind of hit on our favorite stacks. DC, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think for me, there is 3 teams that really stand out. I mentioned the Dodgers. I think they're my number 1. They are most nights just such a deep, powerful lineup. And I think Justice Sheffield is basically a mediocre pitcher at best. Seattle bullpen, I don't think is very good either. So they're my number 1, but pretty close between them and the Angels. We've obviously been mentioning Ohtani and Trout and Upton, Walsh. 2 through 5 there is my preference. You could play Fletcher if you want, and he just has almost no power at all. So I typically avoid those guys myself. Even when I'm stacking, I kind of want upside at every single position. And then the Giants, I like against Chase Anderson. Mentioned Chase Anderson's just enormous home run rate last year, gives up a ton of fly balls, good hitting weather, as we mentioned, in Philly, at least kind of relative to what we've seen for most of the year. And I think, basically every Giant 1 through 8. I think they're all pretty strong plays. A good chance I'll have a Giant stack in there somewhere.
All right. And that's how you rank them?
Yeah. Dodgers, Angels, Giants. Yep.
There you go. All right. Dodgers, Angels, Giants for DC. D-Rock, give me your top 3 stacks.
So we're basically on those that same 3 teams, but I'm going to put the Angels ahead of the Dodgers tonight. Because I think you're going to get a little bit better ownership on the Angels than you will the Dodgers. And my whole article today is basically an Angels in the outfield type of situation. So, I mean, I'm going to roll with them as my top stack of the night. And then, I mean, the Dodgers are too good to pass up on with that matchup against Sheffield. And then I really like the Giants tonight. I mean, I pretty much named off every player, every position we went through on them. Even Buster Posey, who's not in the lineup.
There you go. You can get the pinch hit dong.
Pinch hit home run for Buster Posey. I can't wait.
It's coming tonight too. Watch.
I love it. I mean, the Dodgers are the obvious, in my opinion. Like, I think everyone's going to like the Dodgers. I think the key with the Dodgers is going to be how you stack them. Try not to just, get a little different in how you end up stacking the Dodgers, in my opinion, is the way to go, because people are going to play Dodger stack. So if you think you're just going to go in there and just play the 1 through 5 or 1 through 4 or just all the righties, you're going to play what a lot of people are going to end up having. So try and get a little different. Don't be afraid to, do something different where you play like 2 of the back end hitters and then come around and play the 1, 2, 3 or whatever, just something to make yourself unique, because the stack is a really good stack. I just think that's the way you want to think about building when the team is going to be very popular. I really like the Giants, so I'm going to go the Giants, then the Angels after them. But that's we're kind of all in agreement on the top 3 stacks. I think with the Dodgers,
as long as with the Dodgers, when you're stacking them tonight, as long as you have Muncy and Corey Seager in your stack, I think you're going to already be a little bit different, because I don't think a lot of people are going to rush out to stack both of those 2 together being lefties. I don't see that happening.
That's for sure. And because you're going to be paying a pretty penny for those guys. And if you're playing Justin Turner, who we all agree is a really tough fade tonight. So if you think about it, that's spending up for 3 of those guys. That's a lot of salary right there. Even paying down, you're still going to have to find some cheap hitters in the outfield and maybe at catcher or at first base. So that is something you have to think about. But I do agree, like you said, and I think we've said on the show, that could be a way to be different. Zachary in chat's asking, weekly pass, does that get you in the Discord? It should, Zachary. Again, if you're having issues, though, just hit up info@Rumpure Sports or DM the Rumpure Sports account on Twitter. We should be able to help you out if you're having any issues with that. Boys, let's just give our favorite pitcher and hitter of the night, and we'll get out of here. D-Rock, I'm going to start off with you.
I'm going with Dylan Bundy tonight. I mean, I know he's going to be popular, but I got to stick with my man. I mean, I wrote him up today. And then my favorite hitter of the night, I think he's going to score the most fantasy points on the night tonight, and that is going to be Jared Walsh.
I love that. I love the Jared Walsh call. Guys, hit that thumbs up button. We're almost at 300. Let's get us there as DC gives. Is it the Mom's Basement play, DC? Is that what we're still calling it? Or are we upgrading to the Domino's Pizza play of the day? Because you did upgrade, right? You upgraded your pizza.
I had to. Yeah, I had a few extra bucks after some success yesterday, so I paid the additional $1.99 to get the pan pizza. It was delicious, celebrating a nice day in DFS.
CCC, now I got to get you to upgrade your wine. I know you're a big wine drinker. You like your wine, correct?
I do, but that won't be upgraded. I'm a boxed wine guy. That's never going to change.
Well,
it all tastes the same. Let's not.
The price isn't upgrading, but I will say, Mr. Big T started drinking the wine that I got him on, and he conveniently hit $1 million the next week. So
well,
I'm just saying, DC.
If you're making promises like that, I'll drink whatever.
Oh, wait a second. It's not a promise. Everyone that listens to this show, you will not just automatically win $1 million if you start drinking that wine. But
I'm sending you my address right after this show.
There you go, right there.
I had more than enough drinks yesterday, so no wine for DC tonight. We're taking a day off. We'll be back on it tomorrow. Right. But in terms of plays, yeah, I think it's pretty close between Gausman, Bundy, and even Danny Duffy. If you told me that, and I think this might be true, that Duffy is going to be 15% owned versus 40% Gausman or something. Again, I think he's going to be lower owned. If you told me that, I would play Duffy over those guys. I think it's close enough that I would go in that direction. I do have quite a bit of faith in him tonight, but just in terms of point per dollar, I do have Gausman number one, just barely ahead of Bundy and Duffy. Play of the day. I'll go a little bit off the board. Mentioned him earlier, Brandon Crawford for the San Francisco Giants. Part of it said I don't love the shortstop position, but I do really like this matchup for him. I think he's a better hitter right now than most people think he is. So Brandon Crawford will be taking Chase Anderson deep at some point in this game.
What part of the field?
Oh, yeah, I got to call the count in the field, too. I forgot about that.
If anybody found out how to parlay that, amazing. Absolutely amazing, because it was pinpoint perfect almost.
Give sports betting a couple more years to evolve, and we'll be able to parlay count and field. But Crawford will be pulling his to right center field off of Chase Anderson. You know what? He's going to be swinging 3-1 count there.
There you go. DC just calling out not just the guy that's going to hit the home run, but where and the count. I mean, just you got it all over at Rumpure Sports.
Very useful information.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, just wait. It's going to happen. Of course, this is the heater that DC's on. So, guys, again, if you're not a member, get over to Rumpure Sports. Use the code RPS Heater 25. It'll get you 25% off your first payment of any monthly subscription. I'm going to give a play of the day too. I'm going to give Max Muncy. Muncy's going to be lower owned in the Dodgers stack. And I think he goes yard. I don't care about the lefty-lefty matchup. I think he comes in, maybe right around 10%, maybe under. I don't know, something like that. But I like it for a guy who's right in the middle of that really good Dodger stack that's going to be popular. So hopefully we get a nice low-owned Max Muncy. I I think that's going to do it, though, for us, guys. Make sure if you're an NBA fan, stay tuned because we got a free NBA show. The Hardwood Show live is going to be coming up in the next 10 minutes. And then make sure you get over to Run Pure Sports, subscribe, and you can come hang out with me and Big T and Holden as we break down this NBA and MLB slate, because I guess we'll be talking both. So can't wait for that. We'll see you guys later. For DC, D-Rock, I'm JSU. We are out.